You ever notice how some people's homes look like a storm just passed through every single day? And I don't mean messy in a "I've been busy" kind of way. I mean dishes from 3 days ago, laundry that's been on the chair so long it basically has its own zip code, floors that haven't seen a vacuum in weeks, and the person living in it. They are not stupid. They are not lazy. Some of them are actually the most intelligent, most emotionally aware people you'll ever meet. So why can't they just clean? There's a psychological reason behind this that most people never talk about. And when you hear it, I promise you're going to look at yourself, and maybe a few people you love, completely differently. Let me describe someone real quick. This person wakes up in the morning with full intentions. Today's the day. They are going to clean the kitchen, do the laundry, maybe finally tackle that pile of stuff in the corner that's been there since last winter. They make coffee. They sit down just for a second. They open their phone. An hour disappears. Now there's a weird guilt sitting in their chest, not quite anxiety, not quite sadness, just this low hum of "I should be doing something." But the more they think about starting, the heavier everything feels. So they don't start. They scroll a little more, maybe watch a video, maybe text someone back. And by the end of the day, the apartment looks exactly the same, and they feel somehow more exhausted than if they'd actually cleaned it. Sound familiar? If that felt personal, good. That means this video is for you. Here's what's interesting though. Most people look at a person who doesn't clean and they think they don't care. They are disorganized. They've just given up. But that's not what's actually happening. There's a hidden pattern underneath this behavior, and it has almost nothing to do with cleanliness. It has to do with how the brain handles a very specific kind of emotional weight. And the wild part, the more you try to force yourself to clean through guilt and pressure, the more your brain actually resists it. Ironically, the way most people try to fix this makes it significantly worse. We'll get there. But first, let's talk about what's actually going on in the brain. Your brain has one core mission above everything else. Not happiness, not productivity, not a clean house. Safety. Every single thing your brain does, every habit, every avoidance, every weird behavior you can't explain is running through one filter. Does this keep me safe? Now, there's this part of your brain called the amygdala. Think of it like your brain's security guard. It's always scanning, always watching for threats. And when it detects something that feels dangerous, even emotionally dangerous, it sends out a signal. That signal feels like dread, like overwhelm, like that "I can't even think about that right now" feeling. Here's the thing most people don't know. For people who struggle with cleaning, and I'm not talking about everyone who leaves dishes in the sink, but for people where this is a consistent, distressing pattern, the brain has often tagged cleaning as a threat. Not a physical threat, an emotional one. Think about it like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you make toast. The alarm works perfectly. It's just calibrated to something that isn't actually dangerous, but your brain doesn't know that. It just hears the alarm and says, "Get out of the kitchen." So when you think about cleaning, when you look at the pile of laundry or the mountain of dishes, your brain fires off a signal that feels almost identical to fear. And you withdraw, not because you're lazy, because your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. There's also something happening with dopamine. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It drives you toward things that your brain predicts will feel rewarding. For most people, a clean space gives them a dopamine reward. The brain goes, clean kitchen equals calm equals good. Let's do that. But for people with certain trauma histories, ADHD tendencies, depression, or chronic stress, that dopamine loop gets disrupted. The brain doesn't predict a reward at the end of cleaning. It just predicts effort, overwhelm, and the possibility of still not feeling okay after. So it doesn't send you toward it. Your brain isn't broken. It's just running old software that was written in a different chapter of your life. Let me show you exactly how this plays out in real life. You wake up on a Saturday. No alarm, nowhere to be. You actually have a whole day. And for about 30 seconds, there's this tiny window of possibility. I could do it today. I could actually get this place together. You look around, and then something shifts. It's not like you make a decision not to clean. It's more like the decision gets made for you. Before you even fully register it, you're already reaching for your phone, already finding something else to look at. And here's the inner monologue that runs in the background, not loud, but constant. I'll start after this video. Once I eat something, I'll have more energy. It's already afternoon, what's the point of starting now? I'll just do one small thing. Actually, no, if I start, I have to do all of it. That last one is important. That all or nothing thinking. That's the amygdala again. That's a nervous system that learned somewhere along the way that starting something and not finishing it is dangerous. Maybe because finishing things was how you earned love. Maybe because incompleteness got you criticized. Maybe because you grew up in chaos and your only sense of control was finishing what you started, so now starting feels like a commitment your brain isn't sure you can keep. And a commitment you might fail at feels unsafe, so you don't start. And then night comes, and the guilt comes with it. You text a friend, "I literally did nothing today, I'm such a mess." And they say, "Lol, same." And you both laugh it off, but it's not funny. Not really, because this happens again tomorrow, and the day after. But here's what no one tells you. That clutter, that inability to clean, it's not evidence of failure. It's evidence of protection. At some point in your life, your brain learned that a chaotic environment was normal. Maybe you grew up in a home that was messy, or emotionally unpredictable, or both, and your nervous system calibrated itself to that. Or maybe it went the other way. You grew up in a home where cleanliness was used as a form of control, where nothing was ever clean enough, where tidying up was tied to shame, criticism, walking on eggshells. And now as an adult, a messy space doesn't feel wrong to your nervous system. It feels familiar. And familiar to the brain feels safe even when it's making your life harder. There's something else here too. For a lot of people who live in cluttered spaces, the clutter itself serves a function. It creates a kind of sensory noise that drowns out silence. And silence, for a lot of people, silence is where the hard feelings live. When the apartment is chaotic and there's stuff everywhere and you're always looking for something or stepping over something, you're never fully still. You're never fully with yourself. And some part of you learned that being fully with yourself isn't safe. So the mess becomes a kind of armor, not a flaw, a strategy. A strategy your brain developed to protect you from something that once felt unbearable. Think back through your own life with that lens. Is there a version of this that makes sense for you? Now I want to be really honest with you here. Both things are true at the same time. Yes, this pattern made sense once. Yes, your brain was trying to protect you. Yes, there's no shame in how you develop these responses, and it's hurting you now. Living in chronic clutter is correlated with higher cortisol levels, which means your body is running a low-grade stress response almost constantly, even when you feel used to it. It affects sleep. It affects focus. It affects how you feel about yourself when you walk into your own home. The mess that once kept you numb to difficult feelings is now generating difficult feelings. That's the cruel irony of a lot of our protective strategies. They work until they don't. And then they become the thing we need protecting from. But here's what I don't want you to take from this. I don't want you to hear all of this and turn it into another reason to be hard on yourself. Great, so not only am I messy, but I'm also traumatized and my brain is broken. No, that's not what this is. Understanding why you do something is not the same as being stuck with it forever. In fact, it's the first real step toward changing it. Because you can't update software you don't know you're running. I want to speak to something you probably haven't said out loud to anyone. There's a specific kind of shame that comes with this. It's not the shame of a bad day or a bad week. It's the shame of this is just how I am. The shame of having people over and panicking. Of looking at a corner of your room that hasn't been touched in 6 months and feeling something that isn't quite sadness, but lives right next to it. It's the shame of knowing you're a capable, intelligent person and still not being able to do the thing that seems so simple to everyone else. I want you to hear this. You're not weird. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're someone whose nervous system learned a set of rules in order to survive, and those rules made sense then, even if they are costing you now. The people who judge a messy home from the outside have no idea what emotional architecture it took to build it. And the fact that you're here watching a video about the psychology of this, not a cleaning hack video, not a 10 steps to a tidy home video, tells me you already know this is deeper than dishes. You're asking the right question, and the right question is always the beginning of something. Here's what I want to leave you with. You don't have to overhaul everything tomorrow. You don't have to understand every layer of this all at once. Sometimes the most powerful thing is just sitting with the awareness that your behavior has a reason, and that reason isn't that you're fundamentally flawed. It's that you're human. And humans protect themselves the only way they know how until they learn a better way. If something in this video hit home that's enough for today, sit with it. But if you want to understand the next layer, specifically how anxiety and avoidance keep reinforcing each other in a cycle and what actually interrupts that loop, I made a video on exactly that. It picks up right where this one ends. And if this kind of psychology, the real kind, the kind that actually explains you to yourself, if that's what you're here for, subscribe.